Hey guys, let's take and move on to our next assignment here. We're going to be making a tab. So how to do that, we're going to actually come down here to our plus sign in the bottom left. Click on that. We're going to create a part studio. This allows us to build another part here in the exact same document that we already started. So with this one, we want to go down here to the bottom, right click and rename this, and we're going to call it tab. Now, we're going to do the same that we've done before. We're going to take and select one of these planes. Well, I like using the top. We're going to take and use that. I'm going to take and right click and hit New Sketch. That take and opens up our sketch block. And then what I'm going to do is actually right click and hit View Normal to Sketch Plane. And that kind of centers it here on the screen so that I can see what I'm doing. Now, what we're going to do is actually use our sketch tools on the top here. And we're going to go to our center point circle. We're going to come on our center point, click, and pull this up. Let's take and make this into, let's say 3/8, which is 0.375 inches. We're going to zoom in a little bit. Now, I want to take and make sure you guys remember, I'm just going to right click and escape out of this. But when we do these dimensions, we can take and call out the decimal if we wanted, 0.375. But we can also take and just type in 3 divided by 8, 3/8. It gives us the same number. So really, however is easiest for you. Now, I'm going to take and click back into my center point circle. I'm going to click on center again, pull this back up. And we're going to do 1 inch. We'll just do it on 1. There we go. Now I'm going to take and right click again, escape my circle, just so it gets me out of that little tool. This just allows me to move my dimensions around, make this a little prettier, you know. Now here's where the fun stuff comes in. We're going to get into rectangles. Now I like using the center point rectangle. I think it's pretty cool. So we're going to take and click on that. What I want to do is to zoom in here, and I hope you guys can see this. Is notice how the center point brightens up. It turns kind of that orangish yellowish color. Because that means that I'm on that line. And I don't know how well you guys can see it in the video, but it actually takes and highlights that line between the center point and the cursor and kind of has a little dashed line in there as well. That means that I am perfectly centered on that. And what I want to take and do is click on that and start my center directly on that center line. And then I can take and pull this out, and I can pull this all the way up, and again it highlights that center point when I get up here on that line, because again my point of that rectangle is right on that center line. And I'm going to click again. There we go. Everything's aligned perfectly. Don't have to take and try any harder than that. Now I just took and hit a button here on my keyboard. I have no idea what button I just took and hit, and you can see everything just went completely red. So why did it do that? No idea. We're going to take it back up. There we go. Let me tell you guys, that backup button, it sure helps. So apparently be careful which buttons you hit on the keyboard here. Okay, now that we actually take and have this, I was not able to call out my dimensions on this. So what I want to do is to take and come up to our dimension tool, click on our dimension tool, and I'm just going to come to the side of this and click and drag out a dimension. Now I'm just going to take and do 1. I think that's pretty good. And I could take and come over here to the bottom and click this one and call out 1 as well. But if you guys notice, it doesn't like it. Notice that it kind of changes it a little bit. It's kind of like reduced. It's not as bright of a line there. That's because this is an irrelevant dimension. Basically, I already know that this is 1 inch wide because this large circle has a diameter of 1 inch. So, and I already lined this thing up perfectly with this, so I don't really need this dimension down here. So we're going to take and click that and change it to the driven dimension, and then we're going to escape. And I am going, it'll let me. There we go. We're going to get in here and delete that dimension. We just don't need it. You could leave it if you wanted to, but I don't need it, so I'm going to delete it. Okay, now we have our tab. You can see it's a whole bunch of different shapes and stuff all combined together. We have our small circle, we have our large circle, and we have our rectangle here, which is actually a square now, since it's 1 by 1. While the sketch is still open, we're going to come over and hit our extrude button. And pop, there we go. It already knows what we're doing. It took and makes a tab. Now it makes it 1 inch thick here. We don't really need that. I'm going to call that 1/4 of an inch. 0.25. And there we go. We're going to hit our green check. And there is our part. That is the tab. All right, guys. Make sure, you should have watched the other video, but make sure you guys do have this document shared with your teacher so that they can actually look at this. Once you've shared it with them once, then you should be done. And that is the assignment.